Hello my friends, and welcome to my Brotato Danger 5 guide for the Hiker. This is one of the new characters from the Abyssal Terrors DLC, and I'm going to be doing official class guides for every one of the characters to show you the easiest way to win with each of the new characters on the new map. We're starting with the Hiker because it's the first character that I haven't showcased during the beta period. And I think the Hiker is a really interesting character. You get extra money for distance that you travel, and extra HP for every 80 steps you travel. A step is a small unit of distance. You'll be able to see how far it is when we actually get into the game. We also get increased speed modifications, so as we build speed, we're going to be able to power up our economy even better using these abilities. But we start with minus 5% speed, and enemies drop 50% fewer materials. So we really need to move fast in order to make up the deficit that we're going to be playing at, because enemies are going to be dropping fewer materials. The natural weapon for the Hiker, and the one that seems like the sort of obvious pick, is the hiking pole, but I actually think that is not the easiest way to win with the character. Instead, I think the easiest way to win is with the Jousting Lance. Jousting Lance gives us move speed, so it helps us trigger our passive more often, and also is just a very good weapon for the early game, so it's going to let us build our economy without having to invest heavily in damage upgrades for the Jousting Lance, and still clear the waves for us very well. So we're going to pick this. You can definitely win with the hiking pole, but I think that the Jousting Lance actually makes this character much easier, so I recommend using this weapon, especially on this map. Getting quite unlucky with enemies dropping materials, by the way. Trying to make sure we've got enough distance to at least get to a decent number of materials. We will end up with less income than most other characters once we get out of the first couple waves, because the minus 50% material dropped is a pretty big penalty. But in the first couple waves, we're going to get extra money, so we need to make use of that. Ideally, we would make use of that by finding a Jousting Lance. Okay, we found one, and we found another. We're definitely pretty unlucky there to have rolled that many times without finding a third lance, but with any luck, we will be able to overcome that deficit. We at least were able to lock 2 good items otherwise. Definitely want to find as many weapons as you can at the start, because they increase your movement speed. We have increased movement speed bonuses as well, so this character benefits a lot from finding more lances early. Got our first level. The money that you get from the Hiker's passive doesn't give you XP, so we really want to level up as much as we can with like increased XP gain and stuff like that, and part of what we want to make that happen with is harvesting. That's one reason we picked Jousting Lances, because they can let us invest in harvesting and still have decent damage output, because the weapon itself is so good for our damage. Finding that level 2 Jousting Lance definitely helps, but we're still a little ways behind because our first shop was pretty weak. But something that I want to convey with these characters and in general in these class guides is that even if you get a little unlucky in your first shop, you can still win the run for sure. Most runs of Brotato are winnable with good decision making and good mechanics and stuff. Obviously, there are some times where things are just going to be too difficult, but for the most part, you can make something happen, even if your start is not so good. Here, I'm going to roll. I'm looking for harvesting, because I really want to get to 21 as soon as possible, and then we'll take the lance and the bag and the beanie, and then roll again, and there we go. We're up to our 6 lances, and we'll have a 7th, effectively 7 lances. Weird food, going to be excellent. We will need healing on this character. And even though we get 50% fewer materials dropped from enemies, I'm still going to take the Gentle Alien. This character just wants to build like a little bit of max HP, because we get max HP from our passive, and the damage is good as well. And the extra enemies will help if we end up building lifesteal or anything like that. The most important thing on this character, of course, is to keep moving, because that's how we trigger our passive, but also because the Jousting Lances just stop working if we stop moving. So you always want to be moving. If you are on PC, as I am, something that you're going to want to keep in mind is that when you input 2 opposite movement keys at the same time, so if you were to like tap left and then immediately hit right to turn around, There's a brief period where your character does not register to the game as moving. I also should have hunted down those curse aliens. That was a mistake. I was sort of talking about movement inputs and got carried away. There's a brief period where your character doesn't register to the game as moving when you switch to the opposite direction of movement on a keyboard. So you want to hit a third key, like hit up or down, when you're switching from left to right. So you'll see me doing these little circuits in order to avoid having bits of the run where we're motionless. I'm going to take the luck here. I could take movement speed as well, but I think luck is going to be even better for us. And then because it's a level 2 upgrade, I do want the harvesting, but we're just going to take 6% dodge because a level 2 dodge upgrade is too good to pass up on. We will buy all of these and then roll and lock another Jousting Lance. That's perfect. I will also buy more movement speed because that's how we scale our damage and also how we scale our passive. Notice we've gotten 180 materials and 3 HP from our passive already, so things definitely going well on that front. You can see it takes us a couple seconds of sustained movement to get 1 tick from our passive. So as our movement speed increases, we're going to be getting more and more money. Eventually, we will reach the point where our move speed is too high to dodge easily, and we'll want to stop buying move speed, but it kind of depends on how comfortable you are with your dodging mechanics. For me, I find that around like plus 60 or 70% movement speed, it starts getting pretty difficult for me to actually dodge the enemies. But if you're more confident with your dodging, then that number may be different for you. I'm going to take attack speed. I actually want it more than move speed right now, because our weapons scale very well with attack speed, thanks to their high base damage as well. And then the Scarf, this is the item that you unlock by winning with the Hiker, which you can unlock on a lower danger level. Of course, I'm very happy to see it. It gives us a bunch of stuff that we need. It's not actually that incredible an item for us because we only get 50% melee damage scaling, but the 4 regen and 4 speed are still really good for us, so we're going to take it. That being said, I'm going to buy these other items over it first because I want to improve my damage and my move speed by more than 4%, so buying those 2 items is better than just buying the 1 Scarf, I think. I'm not going to buy the Cake. We're scaling our maximum HP with our passive, so we don't really need to invest money in scaling our maximum HP, and this character will be better off focusing on stats that we actually need, like move speed, health regen, armor and dodge, and attack speed. And of course, economy, because the constant struggle with this character is just that 50% fewer materials dropped from enemies is a massive penalty. And so we really need to have other things to boost our economy, whether that be lots and lots of move speed or a bunch of harvesting in order to make up for that. The hiking pole version of the character gets to have the support weapon tag, which helps with that a lot, of course, but I think that overall this one is a little easier. You take the harvesting here. We're going to try to get to 21 harvesting, and then I'll take the Scarf and the Peaceful Bee, and I will lock the Ball and Chain. It does cost me 3% movement speed, but 15 damage and 3 armor is great, and Jousting Lance is a very slow attacking weapon. We're never going to get it faster than 3/4 of a second anyways, so the Ball and Chain is going to be excellent for us. Go ahead and upgrade our Jousting Lance as well. That's also just more movement speed, so we're up to plus 25%, and our weapons are hitting for 37 base damage already. And you can see that we haven't had to invest anything in improving the damage of our weapons. We're just buying stats we already want, and just getting damage incidentally, which is why the Jousting Lance is such a powerful weapon for this character. We will need to find more regeneration. That is kind of next on our list here, is more healing, especially before we fight our first elite wave. I did notice that we have a fairly difficult pattern of elites, with 3 elites and no hordes. Obviously with a Jousting Lance, which is like a long spear weapon that does a big AoE attack, you're pretty happy to see hordes. So if you are struggling with this character, you can reroll and try to get some horde waves instead of elite waves. But the amount of movement we're doing is maintaining our income reasonably well. Here I will take 4 regeneration, because I definitely want to improve that. We got a cursed weapon, but it's the wrong cursed weapon. If only that had been the lance here, it would have been awesome. Losing 3% speed, or 3.3% speed actually, because of our increased speed modifiers, is the only real downside of this weapon, but 15% damage when we had very low damage, and the 3 armor is huge for us, so we're very happy with that. Buy the Jousting Lance, and we're going to roll and see if we can buy something else. Attack speed is so important for this character that I am considering picking up the small magazine. I think we won't, but honestly, it might be correct to buy that, because attack speed is the thing that we're missing the most. I think we will buy Terrified Onion. Losing luck, of course, is painful, but this character scales almost entirely off of movement speed, so we should just buy as much as we can handle. Some other items to look out for on this character are Power Generator, of course, is the absolute top tier item for us, because that gets us percent damage from our speed. We want a lot of defensive stats, dodge and armor. We get some of those from the medieval weapon tag off the Jousting Lance, so it lets us build those up very early. And since this character scales its maximum HP by itself, whoops, took a couple hits there that I didn't need to. Since this character scales its maximum HP by itself, then any dodge and armor we buy is even more valuable than normal. I do need to be a little careful with sort of my positioning at this point, because we don't have a lot of attack speed, and that's what helps keep us safe against these enemies. I'll take the damage here, it's just a level 2 upgrade, and we'll take the Terrified Onion. Snail is interesting. Reducing enemy movement speed is pretty useful, but I think the thing that's going to get us killed is actually just being too fast ourselves and running into enemies, and I don't want to reduce my damage, so we're going to pass on it. I will take the Lemonade and combine by the Lance, by the Beanie, of course, and roll again. Penguin's going to be quite good for us as well, so we'll pick that up. More regeneration, of course, is great. And the Duct Tape, we do want every point of armor that we can find, so we're very happy to grab that. I'm considering the Butterfly. With only 10% attack speed, the lifesteal is not that valuable, so I think we'll pass on it, but healing is, I think, the main thing that this character is currently missing. The spawner spawned first, which means a lot of eggs are going to spawn, but we will just continue to sort of damage it down and clear the wave, make sure that we're killing the eggs as they hatch. On enemies with decreased item or material drops, the way that it works to have 50% fewer material drops is that there is a 50% chance that any given enemy drops no materials. In fact, you saw it there with the spawner. So killing really high health enemies like these slashers there's a high potential that you just get nothing from those characters. Actually, that slasher, it looked like dropped 1 material, so it's possible that I am wrong and they have recently patched that. I have been campaigning for them to change how that works for a long time. I guess let me know in the comments if that's a recent change that I missed, because it looked like that slasher dropped just 1 material, and normally they drop 4, or 1 or 2, and normally they drop 4. Used to be that there was a 50% chance of them dropping nothing on a character that had a 50% chance of, or had 50% material reduction, but if they've changed it to just where they drop half as many, I think that would be a good change. I'm going to roll here. The crit chance would be fine, the attack speed would be fine, but I think we can get a good level 2 upgrade. And I'll take 10 harvesting. It's not too late for harvesting to be good for us, I think. Take the plant for 12 regeneration, that's great, and we'll buy these 2 items and roll. Jerky, this is an item that I think is excellent. Additional HP from consumables, like +3 consumable heal is massive. It also makes the consumables heal us over time, which in some circumstances is a little bit dangerous, but most of the time is going to be good, because we can pick it up at full health and still get healing value if we subsequently take damage. So I think this item's very good. But I'm going to take the bait first, and do I want coffee over the jerky? I think we'll take the jerky now, and we'll lock these 2 items. It does cost me 2 slots, but I want the 3% dodge. Losing 3% XP gain we don't care that much about, and of course we want the attack speed as well. I want to buy the bait early because that way we can kill these while they're a little bit weaker. Wave 11 I have found to be a typically quite difficult wave in the Abyss, so I wanted to fight them on wave 10. And then we want the Jerky because we took the bait there, so I want the item that improves our healing, since we were very likely to take damage off the start of this wave. Oop. Walked into a bunch of damage there for no reason at all, so hopefully we get a consumable drop. I definitely want to improve my luck at this point because we have Jerky and a lot of consumable healing, so the more luck we have, the more likely we are to get healing off of that. Okay, let's not just die randomly by running into a million enemies. Although we have chosen a pretty good strategy for the character, of course we can still throw the round by just charging into the middle of a bunch of enemies and dying. Piggy bank I'm going to pick up because we found it in a box, so it's likely to pay for itself. I probably will not be saving money aggressively to make use of the piggy bank bonus, but it will give us a decent amount of extra money. Take the 3 armor there, that's awesome. And then we will buy these 2 items. Ritual, yeah, I think I do want this. It's only 6% damage, it's very expensive, but we can potentially make use of lifesteal if we get enough of it, and the ritual is quite good. For us overall. We're going to build a lot of dodge, so tardigrade is kind of interesting, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy the fishhook and the decomposing flesh, because I don't mind losing max HP when we level up. I like increasing my lifesteal. We bought the ritual already, so any healing we get is just good. And then I'm going to lock the tardigrade and the riposte both. Neither of these are items that are that exciting for us, but because we have fishhook, the chance of getting them cursed is really valuable. So when you have fishhook, I like to very aggressively lock any item that's even sort of marginally good for your character. Because if we can always just not buy it if we don't get the 20% chance of cursing it. But if we do, then they have the potential to just really make the run much easier. It doesn't take that many cursed items, which gain a huge boost to power level, to increase, to make any run significantly easier to play. We definitely want to kill that drooler before it gets to its house, but I don't know if we're going to. Yeah, so we accidentally broke the tower. When you kill that tower, these guys get a buff and become much harder to kill. So ideally you kill them before you break that tower. Leaving a lot of materials on the ground, but that's kind of fine. This character is mostly just about consistently moving around to trigger our passive. Bone Dice, this is another chance to reduce our max HP, but again, when we find it for free, I think I'll take it, because we'll reroll enough to get value out of it. Roll here, and I will take 4 more regeneration. Just more healing is really important for us, and neither of these items got cursed, so we're actually just not going to buy either of them. I was really hoping one would get cursed, and so I think it was worth giving up seeing 2 new items here for that potential, but given that it didn't happen, we're not going to worry about them. Padding I will buy. We have an okay amount of max HP, but the padding will give us max HP now and also improve our max HP as we go through the wave, so it's very good in that. It's very good because it will just give us more buffer when we're about to fight an elite. Then do I want Poisonous Tonic, or do I want Metal Plates and Head Injury? I think the attack speed is actually going to be more valuable, so I'm going to take that and lock these 2 items. I could roll once as well to try to lock something else for the fishhook, but I think we're just going to let these 2 items do the thing. We don't have a ton of damage, so we're just going to run away from the elite right now. Our damage output is fine for clearing the wave, but not high enough to kill elites. So for this character, we're just going to commit to not fighting the elite. And something that you should generally do when you are playing Brotato and going into an elite wave is decide immediately whether you're going to fight the elite or not. Because if you change your mind in the middle, that's when you can get into a lot of trouble. Usually you're very safe to either just evade it like we're doing, or fight it if you have the damage. But if you decide to do one and then if you decide to fight it and then discover halfway through that you don't have the damage, you've probably taken a bunch of damage yourself, maybe put yourself in a bad situation in order to try to fight the elite, and that's when you will like die, lose elite waves, and can die as a result. So there we just very safely avoided it. Frozen Heart, we don't have a ton of elemental damage, but we do get 5 crit chance, and this gives us 0.8 damage scaling on our weapons. How valuable is that? Not terribly, but I think it's good enough. Like 5% crit chance just makes this good enough to take rather than 52 materials, I think. And then here I'm going to take 6 dodge because I want as much dodge as possible. I'm going to buy these 3 items and then roll. And I will buy a gecko here. I do like the gecko we are leaving a decent amount of material on the ground. Actually, I think I'm going to pass on the gecko. I think I'm just going to... Because I was thinking I would buy the gecko and lock the jousting lance to try to get a cursed weapon, which, of course, a cursed weapon is very, very powerful. But the gecko, with 50% fewer material drops from enemies, I think we generally want to avoid buying stuff like the gecko, because it's not going to get a ton of value. The jousting lance, on the other hand, I could lock, or I could just buy right away. I think I'm just going to buy it right away so we have an upgraded lance. And then we're not going to lock any of these items. Kind of changed my mind in the middle of that shop as to what I was doing, so apologies for the confusing narration there, but it's important when you are evaluating your decisions to make sure that you are making the right ones. And sometimes that means changing your mind. I have been really enjoying the DLC so far. I think this is really good. Oh, also, I guess I should say, full disclosure, I did get a free key for the DLC from the developers, so thank you to Marco at Blobfish for that. But I'm not being sponsored to make these videos or anything along those lines. Just enjoying the game. Starting to make a little less money because our damage isn't quite keeping up as much, but I will take the whetstone here for more lifesteal. I could take 8% damage, which would help our damage, but I think I actually just want the dodge. Oh, there's another cursed weapon. How likely are we to get kills with that? Because a little bit of free max HP from the cursed Ghost Scepter. We have no ranged damage, but it scales very well and just has high base damage. I'm strongly considering just buying the Ghost Scepter for a couple max HP every wave. Just because it's a cursed weapon. I really like how cursed weapons change your evaluation of items, by the way. Sometimes you want to swap out of your weapon set for a cursed item. I think I'm going to pass on it for the reason that I want to showcase a very standard run for these tutorials. Since this is intended to give you the easiest way to win with the character, it should work no matter sort of what items you roll. So I'm not going to use fancy cursed items that we roll into, because I just want to showcase that you can win kind of no matter what setup you get. So I will just roll past that. We'll buy the lemonade here, and then I will roll again. Barnacle's interesting. This character gets fewer level upgrades, but we will probably get 2 or 3 more levels, and that will increase my stats quite a bit as a result. So I think I'm going to buy the Barnacle and lock all 3 other items here, again, in an attempt to get value out of our fishhook, which currently has done nothing for us. Got all these walruses coming out of the woodwork here, but no cursed walrus yet, so we're safe from the musical stylings of my new favorite band. Oh, there's the cursed walruses. Oh no! We called them. Alright. We just have to try to boo them off stage as quickly as possible. Got a crate there, which is nice. At this point, we're at the point of this run where our damage output is not incredible. just because we haven't ended up building a lot of plus damage items on this version of the character, but we're fine to just continue to run around and survive, and we're making money when we run around with this character, so we're very happy to just continuously do that. Clover I'll definitely take. The lifesteal, of course, would be good, but luck we definitely want, and increasing our dodge to dodge cap would be awesome. Take the lumberjack shirt as well. Right, we got Cursed Riposte, which does a bunch of extra damage. The melee damage scaling isn't the best for us, but we have a lot of dodge, so it will deal a decent amount of extra damage. Then I'm going to buy both of these items and roll. We have one bone dice already. I don't think they get that much better in multiples, and I don't really like this item to actually buy, because you spend a lot on it right away and don't get the stats until later, and it also has the outside chance of just rolling really badly and sort of ruining your health. So we're going to pass on that, but I will lock the Jousting Lance and roll here. I will take the Beanie for additional damage, and I will lock these two other items. I do want increased armor, but I'm hoping to get at least one of these items cursed. Again, I don't think we have the damage to fight the elite very easily, so we're going to avoid it. I went in to kind of test my damage against it, but with only 77 on our attacks on wave 15, we're going to be able to clear the other enemies, but the elite not so much. Another reason to use Jousting Lance on this character, not that I don't think this character has any starting ranged weapons, but the pufferfish are really difficult for this character if you have ranged weapons, because you just move so fast, it's hard to dodge the projectiles from them. You just need good reflexes for that. Maybe that's just me. You may be more skilled or have less carpal tunnel than me, and find it easy to dodge. But because we're going to have so much movement speed, I like to reduce the number of hazards on the field that I can just randomly run into. And these pufferfish enemies explode into projectiles when you kill them with a ranged weapon, but nothing happens when you kill them with a melee weapon, so helpful to use a melee weapon on this character. 10% damage for -5 attack speed and crit chance is not worth it, so we're recycling that. And then I will take the dodge here. One thing that I have wanted to do, because we get extra stats because we have the barnacle. One thing that I should mention about the Abyss is that I think it's better overall in this map to build healing and armor and dodge rather than max HP. Enemies do so much damage that it's very difficult to get to the point where you just have enough HP to tank through it. But you can often build enough defensive stats to heal through it, which I think is the best way to build this character, to build this for this map. Take the upgraded Jousting Lance here, of course, and I will decrease my speed for more armor. We just want as many defensive stats as we can get. And then we will take a recycling machine and a tree. Obviously not going to take Estee's couch, and then roll again. And nothing here I want to lock. I'm going to roll one more time to try to lock stuff for the fishhook. Though that was a pretty marginal reroll, a little expensive. I guess it also cost me piggy bank money, so maybe that would have changed my mind if I'd remembered that we had that. Oops. I broke that guy's house, so now he's mad, which seems only fair. But it seemed like I wanted to try to... Okay, let's kill this before the mini-boss spawns. When those turn red and start charging up, there's going to be a mini-boss that spawns out of them, and I don't want too many of those to show up in a wave. Already have 2. This wave is going to be a little difficult, so I'm getting distracted, because wave 16, I think, is the hardest wave in the Abyss, because it's so many of these high-health, drooly guys who spawn the bosses, and then you end up with a lot of projectiles to dodge. So I no longer remember what I was saying before we started having to run for our lives. Ricochet, I'm going to recycle. Oh yeah, it was that maybe I forgot we had the piggy bank, so I rolled to try to lock items for the fishhook. But if I'd remembered the piggy bank, maybe I wouldn't have done that. Gonna go ahead and buy the Jousting Lance. Metal detector, I think, is still okay. No, I guess 6 luck for -5 damage is not very good, and the chance to double materials doesn't matter because we aren't picking up as many materials as other characters, but I will take all the bonus movement speed and armor items. Take the lure here, of course. Excellent for us, and we will take the little muscly dude as well. Just an efficient way to buy damage and maximum health. Wave 16 on the Abyss map, I think, is by far the hardest of the waves on the map. 17 and 18 are also pretty hard. Weirdly, I think 19 on this map is actually kind of easy. Makes like sort of a nice break after the more difficult waves that precede it. This is about the point where my move speed becomes higher than I want to deal with. So I'm going to try not to buy too much more movement speed, or I'm going to try to cap my movement speed if we find a shackles or something. Can I kill the loot aliens? I really want to get at least one of those. All right, I think we got both. Oops, taking a lot of damage here, so I need to run away. Picking up as many consumables as possible for the Jerky so that we can heal back to full. There's another loot alien there, but we're not going to get him. There's just too many enemies on the field. And that's the thing about Wave 17 on this map, is there's just a lot of stuff, and they all have a lot of health. But if you just run around in circles around the outside of the map, you should still be okay. And then we're going to take... We will decrease our armor, but we're basically at dodge cap, which is awesome. I do want 1 more point of dodge, but I'd rather just take 4 points of armor and not invest in the extra dodge here. We will take the muscly dude. Small fish is going to be pretty good. That'll help us deal a little bit of extra damage. And then not... I don't think I mean, our damage output is not that important to us. Not that important, get it? Is not that important to us right now because we're not killing the bosses anyways in the current setup. That being said, maybe I want to try to kill the bosses, in which case buying this would probably be better than being able to upgrade my weapons. But I think I'm going to roll past it anyways because I think we can do better. I will upgrade my movement speed just a little bit further here. Because up to about 75% I feel okay with. Past that, we're going to stop, because I'm just... At a certain point, you start moving too fast, and you run into projectiles, because my human reflexes are not fast enough to keep up with how fast my character is moving. I thought maybe I could kill that elite, but Wave 18 is just such a difficult wave on this map because, again, there's just so many of these high-health Drooly men and their houses. And the Drooly men and their houses together make a potent combination that is difficult to defeat. Which is possibly a sentence that's never been said before in English, but is nonetheless the case. And so here we're just going to sort of skirt the outside of the map, generate materials from our passive, and heal up with our regeneration as the wave fills with 1,000,000 projectiles. Sure, we'll take more consumable healing. That's very good. Okay, so it worked out that we didn't take the knot because we get to take a level 4 jousting lance. We'll definitely pick that up. I think I will lock the gambling token. We've got 57 dodge, so we do want a little more dodge. If we get it cursed, I guess it's even more dodge. I don't actually know why I locked this lucky charm. We don't really need the luck. Although I guess it is more consumable healing for us, but I think we can probably leave this unlocked and try to get other items that give us more healing. Since we're only buying that luck for healing, there isn't much point in actually locking it to try to get a ton of luck, when we could just look for a healing item instead, and buy the same thing more efficiently. So you can see here, Wave 19 is a lot easier than Wave 16, 17, and 18, which is a funny design choice for this map. I'm interested whether that was on purpose, and if so, why they came to that decision. It's possible it's meant to let you like farm up money before the boss wave, because the boss wave on this map is very difficult, much more difficult than the boss wave on previous maps. But because the most dangerous enemies in the Abyss in general are the Droolers, and there's none on wave 19, it's a lot easier to play wave 19. Okay, we're gonna pick up this mirror and we can get a duplicate item. I really like the mirror for that reason. And then let's roll here and we'll take the crit chance. It's possible we can kill the bosses. And then, oh boy, so do I want the fin? A doubled fin would make me move very fast, but does increase our damage output a lot. So I think I will do that. We'll mirror the fin. This is a little bit higher move speed than I am personally comfortable having, and of course, like I said, your experience may differ depending on exactly how confident you are just moving around. I think I'll take the fish as well. It's better than anything we would roll into. But I think that the fin gives us extra lifesteal, which we definitely want because our healing is good but not incredible. And the extra damage could be helpful as well. We might be able to kill one of the bosses. We're probably not getting both. So I'm going to try to just circle around this guy and see if we can take him out. Yeah, it just does not look like we have the damage output to kill the bosses, but just because of sort of how the shop broke. I don't think that the hiker is always going to kill the bosses. That's totally fine. Not every character has to. Trying to make sure to pick up as many consumables as we can. Oops, stop moving for a second there. When I pick up a consumable while I'm at full health, I get extra regeneration for the rest of the wave because of the penguin that we have. And also, the Jerky still gives us the healing for the next 4 seconds anyways. So if I pick up a consumable and then immediately take a hit, it's fine. You can see here we're just zipping around the map. We are fast enough that the boss's attacks are just not troubling us at all, because they put it under us and we're just out. We just peace out immediately. So I was a little worried that I was just going to run into every projectile, but it turns out that 80% speed on this map means you can just kind of zoom around the outside and just not take too much damage. And this ends up being a fairly straightforward end to the run. So that's the hiker. I think that this character is a pretty good one to start with if you want your first Danger 5 win on the Abyss, because basically you just buy Jousting Lances and you just zoom around, buy armor, buy dodge, buy regeneration, and get a lot of damage output, and you should do very well. Looking at our item purchases, the bag, of course, was excellent. We found that very early and got awesome value out of it. The weird foods and the jerky and the lemonades that we found were incredible. Of course, this was a ton of bonus healing, and this was a lot of our healing. You could set up your healing differently. If you'd found more attack speed, you could go for lifesteal. Generally, I think you're going to go for just more regeneration than we happened to find in this run, but because we found consumable healing instead, it was fine. A couple questionable choices maybe to lock items, but I did want to showcase the fishing hook because it's such a cool item overall. But for the most part, I think that this character is really quite simple. You just buy movement speed, buy Jousting Lance, buy dodge and armor, and you just run around until you win the game. If you found a little bit more damage, more attack speed, more crit chance, then you could kill the elites. We didn't, but that was totally fine. We were able to just dodge around them. Alright, my friends, I hope that this was a helpful video to you to get your Danger 5 wins with the hiker. Let me know, I guess, what character you want to see a guide to next. And, of course, I will be back with more Brotato Abyssal Terrors soon. As always, of course, if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out a ton with the algorithm, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And, of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato Abyssal Terrors, Brotato modded content and everything, and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, my friends. I'll catch you next time.